Alright, Dana White Contender Series Week 10 predictions. Now, last week we went 4 out of 5. The only fight we got wrong was called by UFC as the greatest fight of all time, where both guys did very well. But regardless, we're back this week. Before we start, remember to subscribe because I'm giving you these picks for free and you don't have to do the research, so would appreciate that. It helps me a lot. Now, we're going to start with the first fight Mario Mingaj versus Wes Schultz. I'm going to start with Wes. He was on Contender Series last year and he got absolutely dog walked by Mansour Abdul Malik. He got absolutely destroyed. He also lost against Dylan Budka earlier in his career. Anytime he fights a decent guy, he loses. He only beats bums. I was not impressed at all with this guy, and that's only a year ago since he fought Mansour Abdul Malik and got destroyed on the Contender Series, like absolutely destroyed. I'm not impressed with this guy, and he's fighting the European, the Italian Mario Mingaj, where if you know, you know, it's harder to get into the UFC from Europe because you have to go through a lot more loops and hurdles. So when they make it to the UFC, especially from somewhere like Italy, where there's not really many pro fighters from Italy, you know it's more impressive because they're really, really focusing on their career as a full time thing. It's not like a part time thing they can do on the side. Because in America or US, there are fights all the time. In Italy and Europe, there are not. So you have to actually travel around and like really dedicate your career to. You have to really dedicate your life to your career. And this guy is a submission artist. I think he can take down, or if the fight gets to the ground, I think he can submit Wes Schultz, who showed nothing on the ground against Mansour Abdul Malik. Yeah, I'm going with Mario Mingaj to get the finish here on the ground. Probably a submission pretty early on. I do not rate Wes Schultz at all, so we're going with Mario Mingaj here, the Italian stallion. Okay, next fight we have Jovan Leka versus Azamat Nuftillaev. So you have Jovan Leka, who's that's Serbia. It is. Serbia actually has some decent fighters. Let's see who he trains with. He trains with a couple of pros. Have I heard of any of these guys? I haven't. But yeah, he trains with a bunch of pros who've done decently in Serbia. Um, let's see his career. He lost his first amateur fight, or his only one that's on here at least. Beat a lot of bumps with losing records. He fought one guy with more than 10 fights and he lost. Uh, the best record guy he's beat is a 5-0 guy, Amiran Severny. Um, he's been keeping pretty active though. He's fought 3 times this year. He's won by decision and he's won by knockout and by submission. So he's shown well-roundedness in his game. But he is fighting a 17-1 guy from what country is that? Uzbekistan. A 23-year-old Leka is fighting a 31-year-old Azamat Nuftillaev. Um, he's beat a bunch of bums early on, and then he lost to Slim. Is that the guy who just lost in the PFL? I think it is. Yes, it is. Okay, that's not encouraging. That was 3 years ago, but in RS Fighting Championship in France, he's beat some nobodies since then. But I think this guy has shown more well-roundedness. He has way more experience as well. He has 19 fights compared to Jovan's 12 fights, although he's just 23. So I think if he was older and he was more developed, I think he could do. He does not look 23, by the way. He looks like he's 40. But I just don't think he has the experience yet. I know he has 12 fights, but 0-0 guy, 2-0 guy, 0-2, 0-2. Um, I just think Azamat Nuftillaev. Let's see where he trains out of. Does it say? It doesn't actually show, but I'm gonna trust the Uzbekistani fighter to win just because of his experience. He's 8 years older than him. He's in his prime. He's had more fights. He's had more experience. He's gone the distance. He's faced a bunch of different types of opponents, and he's beat all of them except for one. Um, I think this guy is decent, and I think he's gonna beat Jovan Leka at this point of his career. So I'm going with Nuftillaev on this one. Next, we have Michael Oliveira versus Victor Valenzuela. So again, the UFC, they love their Chile, like their Latin American fighters. They really want more of them. They put Latin American fighters on like every single card, every single Dana White Contender Series, and they really want them to win. And I'm planning on making a video about this, but whenever there's a close decision or a decision in Las Vegas, it always goes to the South American fighter, like Latin American fighter, except for Brazil. It always goes to them, like every single time. It happened last week as well. So if it goes to a decision, they're probably going to favor this guy, regardless of how the fight went. But let's look at his career. I mean, he beat a bunch of bums early on. He lost to a couple of guys. He lost 3 out of 4. Um, although one of them was a DQ. He beat some bums here and there. He's not really fought the best competition. He fought in LFA one time, and he did get a first round finish, to be fair. He's fighting Michael Oliveira, who trains out of KO Squad MMA. Let's see who he trains with. So he trains with Rodolfo Bellato, who's a UFC fighter. Um, Melissa Gatto, I think she's a UFC fighter. Let's see. I think she is. Yes. Uh, yeah. So he trains definitely with the better team here. He's from Brazil, so you know he's gonna have a good game, ground game. Um, he has fought some bumps, some decent guys. Uh, but I'm way more impressed with this guy than I am with the Latin American fighter. I know they favor Latin American fighters in every single decision. So if this goes to decision, you should be worried that they're gonna give it to him because they love doing that. But I just think Michael Oliveira is from the better team. He's more well trained. He, I just think he's more well rounded than the striking merchant um, Valenzuela. So I'm gonna go with Michael Oliveira, the Brazilian here. Next fight we have Marwan Rahiki versus Ananias Mulumba. Let's see. He fights out of Congo. If you've been watching Dana White Contender Series this year, you know how African fighters get fraud checked a lot this season. Especially their ground game is terrible, and they usually the hammer. They're not used to being the nail. They're not as well coached just because of the facilities they have, I guess. Uh, although this guy has been fighting in the Middle East where there is higher level of competition, he still hasn't fought like very good people. He's fighting Marwan Rahiki, who fights out of Australia, where obviously the level of competition is a lot higher, and the training is way better than in Africa, most parts of Africa. This guy's been fighting decent opponents, and he's been winning different ways. He's been winning both by standing knockouts and chokes and ground and pound. He's had a good um, amateur career, way better training. I just think he's a better fighter, better coached, and he's gonna beat Mulumba, who not due to his own fault, but he's just not getting the level of training that Rahiki is. So I'm going with Rahiki in this fight. Next fight is Juan Díaz, another South American fighter, fighting one Il Kwon. Now, South Korean fighters have not been doing well in the UFC lately. I mean, they've been getting fraud checked. They usually have very good striking and terrible ground game. That's usually how it is out of that country. He trains out of P Boy MMA. Let's see who he trains with. Um, doesn't train with anyone I've heard of. Um, he's been fighting in Asia a lot, fighting some bums, and all of his losses are against guys who have more wins than losses and have a bunch of fights. He's been losing a lot. He's even coming off a loss due to a body shot in the first round. I'm not sure how that gives you a shot at the UFC, but I guess it is what it is. Although one championship does have pretty good fighters, and he's been fighting there for like 6 years, so it's not like he's fighting absolute bumps. He's fighting Juan Díaz, the most basic name I've ever heard in my life, out of Peru. So again, if this goes to a decision, you know who they're gonna favor. Um, he has had a good career. He hasn't just fought bumps; he's fought some decent guys as well, and he's been beating them. Um, I think this guy is going to take down. I think he can beat the Korean here. Um, I think it's going to be start striking, and I think he's going to have some success. Where I'm just going to call him Pretty Boy since that's his nickname. I think he's going to have some success striking, but I think when it gets dirty and it gets to the ground, I think Juan Diaz is going to win. And if it goes to a decision, he has like a double chance of winning because it always goes to the South American fighter or the Latin American fighter. So I'm going to go with Juan Diaz in this one. Freddy Vidal is fighting Levi Rodrigues in the main event. Freddy Vidal, I believe I think he fought in the Contender Series before. Yeah, he did. Was it this year? Just 1 month ago. Yeah, he won by rear naked. What? Because I remember picking this guy, I think, against Philippe Franco. I don't know why he didn't get a contract. I don't remember. I honestly can't remember this fight at all. It was just a month ago, and he did win. If I remember correctly, this was a very boring fight, and he got a submission at the end. I think that's what happened. Not sure. He was a huge underdog. Uh, I wish I could remember what happened in that fight, but I just can't. I think I remember him being kind of shit, and then getting a submission late on. But I think he was losing the whole fight actually, and then he got like a lucky submission at the end or something. I don't know. He's fighting Levi Rodrigues, who fights out of Inside Muay Thai in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Um, he trains at the same gym as John Matsumoto, and I know they have some good coaches in that gym. So I'm expecting this guy to be well trained for this fight, and I hope he won't have gas issues. Even though it's light heavyweight, I think I hope just because of where he trains at, he's gonna have a well-rounded game and not gas out. He's been fighting in different sports like boxing, kickboxing, and he has a lot of power in his hands. And he's fighting a guy who's not really that good, at least when you look at his last fight. Um, Honestly, I don't think this is that hard. I'm gonna go with Levi Rodrigues to win this fight. Um, yeah, I don't think that's controversial at all. I'm just going to go with Levi Rodrigues. Now, I don't know what the odds are for any of these fights. I'm just picking up based on what I think is going to happen. And we've usually been right in most of the White Contender series. We usually get most of them right. So this week we're going with Mario Mingaj, Azamat Nuftillaev, Michael Oliveira, Marwan Rahiki, Juan Diaz, and Levi Rodrigues. Let me know how you do this week in the comments, and remember to subscribe. Okay, bye.